Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Should You Play, where I show you some spoiler-free gameplay and give you my thoughts after playing new games for a few hours, while also highlighting and checking out at least one of the PlayStation Plus games for each month. In this video I'm playing one of the April 2025 PlayStation Plus games, Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth Hacker's Memory, the Digimon JRPG that released worldwide in 2018. Digimon wasn't really part of my childhood. I watched a few episodes out of order here and there, and if you showed me a picture of one of the originals, I could probably tell if it was real or not, but beyond that, my Digimon knowledge is very limited. This is also the very first Digimon game that I've ever played, so now that I've presented my expert level credentials, let's just talk about the game. Hacker's Memory follows a student who gets caught up in a cybercrime scandal after his online account is stolen on Eden, which is essentially the virtual reality version of our internet. In order to clear his name and get his account back, he joins a group of hackers that operate within Eden, and from there you start to discover that something much more sinister is going on. The story exists within the same world as the original Cyber Sleuth title, and while it does occasionally reference events from that game, it's not a direct sequel, so you won't need to have played it to understand what's happening. However, it is worth noting that if you did play the first game, you can import your save data for some extra bonuses at the start. The game is split across 18 story chapters, with some post-game content as well, but one of my biggest issues with the story is that it takes a good while for things to open up. Early chapters contain a lot of heavy exposition that's more akin to a visual novel than your standard JRPG, so if you're the type of player who's looking for a game that opens up sooner rather than later, just be aware that the pacing takes a bit to pick up. Hacker's Memory takes the format of a JRPG, with some linear exploration, light puzzle solving, and a whole lot of monster catching mechanics. And as much as some fans might not like the comparison, if you've ever played a Pokemon game before, you'll probably feel at home pretty quickly here. You'll spend your time split fairly evenly between the real world and Eden, and you'll be exploring digital dungeons, fighting enemy Digimon, and completing missions as you go, with most everything being pretty straightforward mechanically. That said, there's definitely some quality of life issues that make the experience a bit clunkier than it needs to be. Navigating the world, especially when you're trying to figure out where to go next, can be confusing. The game doesn't do a great job of pointing you in the right direction, with no real quest tracker or detailed map, often leaving you to wander aimlessly while trying to guess where it wants you to go. There's also a fair amount of backtracking, especially earlier on, and some of the environments can start to blur together visually, which doesn't make things easier when you're already feeling lost. I also highly recommend saving as often as you can, because in true JRPG fashion, there are no autosaves, and if your team goes down in battle, or in my case your power goes out, you're likely to lose a big chunk of progress. As with nearly every monster catching game, Hacker's Memory shines the most when you're catching, evolving, and battling. There are over 300 Digimon in the game, and in order to get a Digimon, you don't actually catch or tame them, but when you encounter one in battle, you'll scan them. Once you've scanned a certain Digimon up to 100%, you can digi-convert those scans into eggs, which will hatch into those Digimon. Alternatively, you can buy a selection straight from the Digimarket on your PC, but most of your teammates are going to be coming from scans or evolutions. When it comes to evolving, or rather digivolving your Digimon, the game will tell you when you can do so, as well as which forms they can take depending on their level and stats. What makes this system interesting is that digivolving isn't a one-way street, and you can actually de-digivolve your Digimon back to previous forms and try another evolution path, or even make them stronger in the process. The system might be a little confusing at first if you're not familiar with it, but once you do get the hang of it, it's pretty fun experimenting with different combinations and trying to build your dream team. As for the combat portion of the game, Hacker's Memory's battles are turn-based and take place in a multi-battle sort of system, letting multiple of your Digimon on the battlefield at the same time. There are 4 main types of Digimon: Virus, Vaccine, Data, and Free, and they operate within a rock-paper-scissors fashion. In addition to their types, each Digimon has one of 9 attributes as well, with some of them being Fire, Water, Dark, and Wind, and all of them also operating within a strength and weaknesses pattern that's fairly easy to figure out on your own. Enemy encounters can vary in difficulty, with most wild battles being straightforward and unchallenging if you're keeping your team's progression up, but boss battles can definitely be tough and will require a lot more strategy, as the game pretty much expects you to have figured out the type and attribute system by the time you're a few chapters in. Visually, the game has a pretty clean anime-inspired art style that holds up well, especially in its character and Digimon design, even if you can see low-resolution textures all over the place. Eden has a cool digital look with neon highlights and floating data effects, but as I mentioned earlier, environments can start to blend together because the reused asset designs are so similar to each other. Additionally, lip sync is really more of a lip flap, and character animations in and out of cutscenes are pretty stiff and don't show off any real emotion. The style generally works and fits the Digimon aesthetic, but the graphics and overall presentation are definitely not the highlights of Hacker's Memory. Because of the game's tightly scoped design, reused assets, and a few other factors, gameplay is incredibly stable, and it actually brings Hacker's Memory down to a little over 4 GB on the PS4. Despite how much is actually featured in the game, including a fair amount of voice acting and cutscenes, load times are quick, menus are snappy, battles are easy to get in and out of, and the bugs and glitches are pretty much non-existent. There are a few minor quirks here and there, including some odd hit detection and some characters in Digimon pivoting in place rather than actually moving their bodies, but nothing that impacted gameplay in any meaningful way. Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth Hacker's Memory isn't a perfect game, but if you like monster catching titles or just Digimon in general, you'll probably find some enjoyment here. Even for those of you who are new to the franchise, it's surprisingly accessible, even taking into consideration that I didn't cover all of the game's mechanics, including domination battles, online play, cross combos, hacking skills, and a whole lot more. I personally found the story to be really weak, especially at the start, but if we're being honest here, it's secondary when it comes to the gameplay, because to use Pokemon as a comparison again, the most exciting part of Gold and Silver wasn't figuring out what Team Rocket was up to, it was getting to the gym leaders, evolving your team, and becoming the best there ever was. Even if you ignore the story and are fine with how the visuals look, it's still not the best monster catching game I've ever played, but even so, if I can find the time, I'd be lying if I said I probably wouldn't at least try to finish the main game. As always though, this is just my opinion. Whether you're just logging into Eden for the first time, or you've already managed to track down the person who flipped your life upside down, let me know in the comments what you think of Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth Hacker's Memory. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Wow.